Thank you for waiting at this time, Virgin Atlantic passengers seated in premium economy. Upper class is flying for gold on the left-hand side of the A11. Once again, premium economy, upper class is flying for gold on the left-hand side of the A11. We also
Welcome everybody to the first episode of a new YouTube series called A Pilot's Life, and this is basically going to be videos of me doing flights for A Pilot's Life that I haven't streamed. There's, sometimes there's advantages to not streaming everything, and you get to do things a little more by the book, because when you're streaming you're distracted by the chat and the Discord and all the other things that work toward making that fun and interactive. So this is going to be for those of you, one, that aren't on Twitch and maybe you haven't discovered the platform yet, but also just to kind of keep my YouTube channel going. I want to try and grow that as well as my Twitch audience. And so this is kind of a shout out to you guys. So let me know in the comments if you want to see more of this kind of content. If it flops, it flops. And if it does great, then we'll do more of them. But this is on my off streaming times when I have a chance to do some flights. I figure I might as well record them. I'm doing them anyway. I might as well record them and then put them here. So for those of you that don't know, A Pilot's Life is a program by Simbit World. It's available at the Sim Market store for around $18 or so US. And it is basically a virtual airline program. You can get to join various airlines that are willing to hire you when you have zero experience, and fly routes that are auto-generated based on your preferences, long, short, medium haul, in the States, internationally, depends on the airline you get, cargo, passenger, all that stuff. So I've been doing this for a while. I started out with Atlas as my first hire, and once I made first officer of some kind, then I tried to see who else would hire me, and American was one of the ones that accepted my application, so I've been doing that with them ever since. I've operated out of the Dallas hub, most recently out of the Charlotte hub, and now currently operating out of the Phoenix hub, which is where we're at, gate Alpha 2. We're going to be taking American flight 556, American 556 in the MD-80, which I've been absolutely loving, by the way, by Leonardo. This is P3D, and I highly, highly recommend this aircraft. I actually have a YouTube tutorial on how to fly this aircraft. So if you get this aircraft, you want to know how to fly it, I've got you covered. There aren't that many that I've found out there for the MD-80 because it doesn't seem to be as popular of a plane. But I think once you get in it and understand it and how it works and the nuances of it, you'll fall in love with it too, as I have. So today we're going American 556 service to Dallas Fort Worth. And we're here at gate Alpha 6 in Phoenix. We're going to be going to Charlie 31 in Dallas. And what we're going to do is we're going to do the flight. Once we get up to cruise, we'll accelerate a little bit, add some nice little fun in-flight music so we're not bored on the cruise. And then we'll do all the procedures back down into Dallas, park it at the gate, and that'll be it. And that's what we're going to do. It's going to be a full flight from here in Phoenix up to Dallas. So let's go ahead and hop in the aircraft and get started. All right, here's the cockpit of the McDonnell Douglas MD-82 specifically, and it's quite a jumble. Especially if you're used to an Airbus, it looks like a complete hot mess. If you're used to the Boeing, it still looks a little bit more of a hot mess, but it really does make a lot of sense once you learn where everything is. So we're going to get started. This is not a tutorial. I'm not going to walk you through everything, but I am going to verbalize what I'm doing, and so you can learn that way too. So let's go ahead and get in the captain's seat over here. And first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at some of our numbers here just to go over the flight plan. So to do that, I'm going to pull up this little tablet. This is totally just something that I created. It's not in the sim. And we're looking at Sim Toolkit Pro here with our flight plan here. We're going to be taking flight level 330 today. We've got an hour and 54 minutes en route. That's 849 nautical miles, 142 passengers, 300 pounds of additional cargo. So this is besides just passenger bags. So this could be mail or other things that American is contracted to take to Dallas in additional cargo. Our zero fuel weight today, right now, as of right now, this could change, is 114,707. That's what it's slated to be. And our block fuel is 24,605 pounds. For a total gross takeoff weight of 138,512 pounds and a fuel reserve amount of 8,314. So we're going to take all that information and we're going to plug that into the ACAR system and get our fueling stuff going here in just a moment. This is our route. Phoenix, we're expecting runway 26, the Eclipse-1 to Phase EWM, J4, INK, Geeky, the Boov 4 via Geeky into Fort Worth, and we're hoping for 17 Center for our arrival into Fort Worth. They are in South Flow right now, IRL, and Phoenix is in West Flow, IRL, and so that's what we're following. Since we're using real-world weather, we might as well use real-world flows. Why not? All right. Before we get too far into this, do know I do stream on Twitch. Right now, the schedule is Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturday mornings. So Wednesday and Friday evenings and Saturday mornings at twitch.tv/Mustafa. We do more flights like this, other aircraft, Friday Night Ops on VATSIM, Slant Whiskey Wednesdays in the 7.2 and 737s, the old school classic or Jurassic jets, as some people call them, flying just VORs and NDBs. It's a lot of fun. It's a great community over there. Come check it out sometime. You won't regret it. It's a lot of fun. And Twitch doesn't cost you anything. There are perks to subscribing and things that do cost, but believe me, there's no cost by default. You know, that's totally if you want to add to your experience with emotes and things like that. But no pressure ever. I really would much rather have you there than not. So check that out sometime. Twitch.tv/Mustafa. Links down in the description below and also on your screen right there. All right, let's put the tablet away. And first of all, we're going to use GSX to call for our refueling. So we're going to do that right now. Request refueling. And they're going to come over and start doing that in just a moment. While we're waiting for him, we're going to go down and program our ACARS system before we load any passengers. The aircraft is already powered up. It came in fully serviceable. I checked the maintenance log and had a little bit of low oil quantity, but we got that topped off. Otherwise, fully ready to go, so the aircraft is already powered up. We're not going to do the cold and dark procedure. We're definitely not the first ones to fly today. It's the late afternoon, and we're going to be flying into the evening tonight. First thing we do, we'll check our AIRAC data. 2103, March 25th to April 22nd. Today is March 29th, so we are good. We've got the correct AIRAC data. JT8D217 Alpha engines, that's also correct, and we are on the MD82. All this information checks out. We're going to go back here to menu and ACARS, AOC, and pre-flight. Init data. Flight number today is 556. Today's date is the 29th. The originating station is Phoenix, KPHX, and the destination station is Fort Worth, that's KDFW. Estimated time en route, according to the flight plan, is 1 hour and 54 minutes. And our estimated time of departure, I'm just going to look over here at the current time. It's currently 22:51, so we're going to call it 23:10. We may get out just a little bit ahead of that, but we'll call it 23:10. And then our full flight number is AAL, we're American, 556. And put that right there. I will automatically initialize that. We can return. We'll do our weight and balance. Our trip fuel today, according to the flight plan, is 13,700 pounds. So it's not the block fuel, that's just the trip fuel. Our taxi fuel is 800. And our total block fuel, with all the reserves and alternate fuel that the government requires us to have, is 24,605. We'll send that. We'll also send for the flight plan to send, that way we have that on our ACARS just in case. We're going to go over here to requests and ATIS, change that to a departure ATIS, and look up the Phoenix ATIS PHX right there and send that request as well. You may have noticed the fuel quantity indication has started to increase. That means the fueler is out there doing his thing. We're going to go to receive messages, check our ATIS, And we see that right now they're predicting departure runway 25 right, 25 left, 26. We're on the north side of the field, so we're taking 26. Transition altitude in the United States, 18,000 feet. Wind 230, 4 knots, relatively calm. 10-mile visibility, scattered clouds at 18,000 feet, broken clouds at 25,000 feet. Temperature 26, dew point -8. And the QNH is 2970. And it's 1 of 1, so that's everything. 2970, we're going to set that real quick here on our standby. Just going to double check 2970, yeah. And we'll also set that here on our primary. And that should have set the FOs too. I have it set so it does both. Right? Yes. It's like a 3 for a second. Alright, so that's set. All 3 altimeters are now set and we're good. My rule of thumb, once the fuel starts coming on board, we go ahead and tell GSX to start boarding our passengers. So we're going to say request boarding. And we're also going to use a program by TFDI called PHX, or PAX, to simulate some more passenger boarding immersion. And we're going to fly with career mode. We've got one set up for American here. I'm going to say next. We do have to, it never gets the aircraft right for this. It doesn't recognize what this is. So I have to tell it's an MD-82. According to our flight plan, we have 142 people. 142 passengers, and I always increase this by 10 minutes just to give myself a buffer. So this is going to be 04, and that's going to be 2 hours and 4 minutes. 33,000 feet, that's correct. Next, it's a longer flight, so we can serve meals, and we'll say, did that again, start. I don't know why I did that the other day, and I just have to hit start twice. I'm not sure what's going on there, but it's working now. That can have the possibility of adding emergencies into the flight aside from mechanical. It can sometimes add mechanical too, but you might get like a passenger heart attack or other medical emergency or something that you have to do, and it just adds another modicum of fun, and the passengers will rate your performance of the flight and things like that. So. Alright, passengers are coming on board. We have fuel going into the tanks, so let's go ahead and check our panel here and make sure we're all set up. We're going to put the interphone on so we can talk to the ground crew and tell them when to disconnect things. We're on ground power now. We're actually going to switch over to APU because it is running, it looks like, from the last crew. So we're going to go ahead and avail ourselves of that in a moment. In the meantime, though, we're going to turn on our panel lights. And I always like to turn just a little bit of panel flood, especially as it gets dark. That's helpful, to me at least. All of our switches up here are all basically straight up. That's how we would expect them to be. All of our generator switches are on. We have both APU and ground power. APU is off bus, and ground power is on bus currently. The bus ties are all in auto or open. Galley power is on. That's very important for the flight attendants. They need to be able to start making their coffee. Start pump we're not going to need because we've got power, and we have one fuel tank is running that APU, so we're good there. Emergency lights are in arm. Seatbelt signs are off until the fueling is done. That's how we want it. And then coming down here, APU, we've got the APU supplying air for the passenger experience back there. Got to make sure we're cooling off that cabin, otherwise it'll get hot, hot, hot. Fuel pumps are off except for the one running the APU. Window heat and window heat, which is the anti-fog, anti-ice switches, are going to go on right now. We're going to check the pitot system and make sure we get voltage on all of those, and then it's going to go back off until we taxi. Anti-ice can be off for now. We're going to make sure our cockpit door is unlocked so the flight crew can get to us if they need it. We're going to check our EGPWS.
Right slope. Pull up. Terrain. Pull up.
We have a GPWS fail light that should go off after a little bit. There it goes. And then we'll check this one as well.
Headwind, here, headwind.
We've got more failure lights, and that should clear themselves as it goes through the systems.
Here, tailwind, here, tailwind, here.
Perfect. This is our dome light, which we don't need right now. It's nice and bright. Our logo light, which we don't need because it's bright enough. That's an ACARS message light. Don't need to worry about that. Anti-skid switch, we're going to do a test on that. We hold that down. We see anti-skid, that's good. Let go, it should go back. It does. Same thing with the stall test. 2 messages, and up. And that's a good test. Overspeed. Overspeed's a good test. Yaw damper, we're going to flip it off. You see yaw damp off and flip it back on. And the message goes away. And then finally the ice FOD test. You see those messages and let go and they clear. So that's a good test. The AC system, the pack system is running for the passengers. We need to check our pressurization panel though here and set this to local, which is 1135 here in Phoenix. This is in case we had to return.
I would love to welcome you aboard our flight. When you find your seat, please be sure to place your larger carry-on items in the overhead bin and smaller items underneath.
Turn her down a little bit just so don't need to hear her quite as loud. So that's close to 1135, 1150 or so. And then the landing barrel right now is 2970, so I'm going to stick that right on that line there. Close enough anyway. And we're on the primary method there. Let's do a Enunciator light test real quick. Just verify that our various Enunciator lights are working. Just checking through. Everything should be lit up and moving. We're going to make sure all this is working. And that is a good test. And last thing we're going to do up top here is we're going to go up here and test the cargo fire, the cargo smoke system really. Alright, all of those loops are working, and as part of the cargo system, or part of the fire system test, we will test here. Hold that one down too.
Fire, left engine. Fire, right engine.
Let that go, release that one, that's a good test. Okay, so that's all good to go. We're going to come over here and test our oxygen. Oxygen's good for my side. I want this to be on that, and actually I'll keep that on that for the interphone. This is the VHF-1, which we're going to talk to air traffic control. If they were on, they're not at the moment. Denver Center's on, but we're not in their airspace. So as of right now, we're on our own. That's okay. And let's see, I want this to be in map mode, which I think that is. No, that's arc, map. Yeah, map mode, that's what we want. Map mode is set there. Make sure these guys are up. Guy is up. Good. This is these PFD and ND display switches along with the weather radar, which is that guy there. I want to make sure that's all working. The weather radar is off. You see WXT off, and that's that switch there. We won't turn that on now so we don't irradiate anybody at the gate. That would not be good. I'm going to set the panel lights up here, and I like to set this flood up to about this kind of 45, 30 degree-ish thing. I just like the look of it. I'm going to do the same thing down here with the panel lights. I'm going to turn that one all the way up, and that one all the way up, and this guy goes to the 45, 30 degree, whatever you want to call it. And that should set the FO side that way too. I'm going to just cage the standby, make sure that's set, ready to go. Verifying the spoiler and the sandals down, the flaps are up, throttles are idle, fuel is cut off. We got to move this guy back to the green arrow. We're going to double check our settings here in just a moment for the stab trim, but we'll get it in the range. It'll be really close. We'll just have to move it a little bit when the time comes. Let's see how that goes. And that's about aligned right there. Alright, so first of all, we're going to look at this. The initial data that I had from the preliminary was 13.5 on the CG, so that's what I'm going to set. When we get the final weight and balance, we'll tweak that if we have to. But 13.5, it's going to be 13.4, 13.6. You can't get this exactly accurate, but you can get close. And so now we'll move that back up a little bit to get in line with that. Sounds like PAC's side of things is ready to go. I don't think the GSX side is ready yet. And then down here, we're going to get the flight plan ready to go in the box here. So positioning it. We are at Phoenix, PHX. Just check our position, make sure it's really close. It should be fairly close. It is. We're going to use the actual GPS position though, so it's a little bit more accurate. I think that's our final load sheet right there coming in. For our route, we're going to KDFW. Oh shoot, I forgot to turn that off. DFW, and then we can pull the company route here by doing KPHX, KDFW,
roughly
And
2
if you watch the
hours
tutorial, you'll
and
see how I set
4
that up to
minutes.
do that.
Please note
We
the
see that
category
coming in
now
there.
closed.
That's good. We're going to go
Staff
departure
session
arrival,
ensure that all
departure,
devices are in
runway
airplane mode.
26.
Your larger devices are now shut down and stowed. If you have not already,
And we are
fasten
taking
your
the
seatbelt and verify
Eclipse
its low and tight as possible.
departure to
Your
phase.
seat back must be in the full upright
Back to
posture
route.
departure. Cabin crew,
Departure
prepare to
arrival.
departure
And the
cross-check
arrival
airplane
is going to be the
traffic
Boo
and
4
flight attendants, please
geeky
prepare to
transition.
departure and cross-check.
And we're hoping for runway 17 center. And typically it is the bossy transition, so we'll go ahead and select that. Route, activate, execute. Let's check those legs real quick. We're just looking for discontinuities right now. Vectors are okay. I do have that. No discontinuities. Up to initial reference here. And since we do have the final load sheet, let's go ahead and pull that up so we get the accurate zero fuel amount. Load sheet final right there. Zero fuel weight 115.313. 115.3 is going to be our zero fuel. Fuel on board is 24,605, so 24.6, and that's slash normal. If it was super cold, we'd use the alternate method, but we're not going to do that today. Reserves 8.3, and cruise altitude is 330. And it's going to yell at us about 100 feet. We're not going to care. We're not going to care. If that was off by like close to 1,000 feet, then I'd care. But 100 feet, no. Within 500 feet, I kind of like, we'll make it. Cruise wind. Cruise winds aloft. Average winds aloft are going to be 250 at 4.1. 50 at 4.1. And our top of climb outside air temperature is minus 50. Minus 50 for an ISO deviation of 1 degree. Alright, we need to get our V-speed, so we're going to pull up our trusty little doodad here. We also just need to check, though, this won't affect the V-speeds, but I do want to check now while we're looking at this. Hey, we got 13.5, look at that. Let's acknowledge that, by the way. And say next page. And 13.4. Okay, we're not going to be. It's going to go to like 13.2 or 3 if I move it, so it's close enough. So we're right in the range of what we need, so that's fine. Total gross weight right now is 139.9. We're going to burn off supposedly almost 800 pounds of fuel in the taxi, so we're looking at close to 138. So this is set for 131, so we need to set this to 138. And there's our V-speeds. 138 for V1, 142 for rotate, and 151 is V2. We're going to take that information, we're going to set our bugs, and we're going to set 152 or 151? 151. 151 in our speed window. Don't jump on me. There we go. 151 the speed window. Alright, so that is all set to go. The last thing we're going to look at here is we are going to we're going to go ahead and do a bit of a derate today because we got a lot of runway, and so we're going to go ahead and set a, I'm going to turn this off, and I think I have to do that. Nope. Why don't I have that coming up there? Is it because... No, flight directors are on. I've done this before. How did I do it? Alright, you know what? I've forgotten how to do that, and so we're going to not worry about it today. Never mind. We'll just go standard takeoff. We'll be fine. I do want to set the zero fuel amount, though, right here, which was 115.3. Just so this instrument is accurate. There we go. And it changed our card here when we did that because it assumed it was trying to tie it to that, so we can go back to 138 there. So yeah, our current gross weight is showing 139,750, and bugs are reset. Perfect. All right. All right, I believe they've closed our doors already. Let's just double check that. Doors and stairways are closed. So let's go ahead and switch over to APU power. We're going to turn off the external power and tell these guys to disconnect.
Yes, sir. You're cleared to disconnect. Thanks.
While that's happening, we're going to move the jetway. I need to tell Pilot's Life what aircraft I'm using real quick. There we go. Important little detail. And we're going to call for pushback. Beacon will go on, and while they're coming up for pushback, let's take a look real quick at the departure procedure here in Phoenix. Just make sure that was set up good. All right, here is the airport plate. We're here at gate Alpha 6. We're going to plan on taking off runway 26, so it's going to be pushback, nose to the left, Charlie 9 Bravo, Bravo 13, 11,489 feet of runway. SID is the Eclipse 1 RNAV. Going out on 26, runway heading to 1,635 feet, then direct to JUTAC, Wheatal, Rich, Eclipse, Catman, Boxer, and Phase. No altitude or speed restrictions at all. Minimum safe altitude on the departure is 5,800 feet, and then 4,800 feet as we transition past Rich. 250 below 10,000, and 8,000 is our top altitude we'll set in the box. Alright, they're ready for us to push, so we're going to release the parking brakes. We're going to set 8,000. There we go, 8,000 set. And we're going to set 258 on the initial heading. Alright, 258 set. Let's lock that door. We're going to turn the packs off while we start the engines. Fuel pumps come on. Engine ignition system to both. Starting number 2. And away we go. And we should turn that seatbelt sign on too.
Release your seatbelt, lift the upper portion of the buckle. In the event that the seatbelt light is not on, we suggest that you keep your seatbelt fastened.
Alright, into rotation.
There are several emergency exits on this aircraft. To familiarize yourself with the emergency exits on this aircraft,
fuel flow.
the safety card in the seat back pocket
Light up.
in front of you. In some cases, your nearest exit might be behind you. If we need to evacuate the aircraft, there is lighting on the floor to guide you towards the exit. In the event of a decompression, an oxygen mask will drop in front of you. To start the flow of oxygen, pull the mask towards you. Place it firmly over your nose and mouth, secure the elastic band behind your head, tighten the straps
Parking brake set.
and breathe normally.
Into rotation.
Oxygen is flowing to the mask. If you're traveling with a child or someone who requires assistance, secure your mask on first and then assist others. Keep your mask on until a member of the crew advises you it is safe to remove it.
Fuel flow.
In the event that the pilot
Light
decides
up.
to take us for a swim, a fashionable life vest is located in a pouch under your seat or between the armrests. When instructed to
I'm going to set
do so,
2,000 on the
buckle
transponder, and TARA is
your
selected.
head. Wrap the straps around your
That's
waist
going to go
and
back
buckle
off.
up front.
Center fuel pumps. Do we have something center? Yes, we do. So
So
center fuel pumps coming on now. Pitot heat selected. Packs coming back on. Close those off. And APU transfer has loads transferred to the engine, so we can shut the APU gens off. Air off and APU master off. I'm going to close the pneumatic cross bleeds. Takeoff mode set for the auto brake, as well as arming it. Arm the speed brake. The aux hydraulic pump and transfer pump comes on, and we set flaps 11 as per our planned takeoff procedure. Takeoff mode is already set. Flight directors are on. Going to drop the wing landing lights. We won't turn them on yet. We'll just extend them. We're going to do a quick check of the controls to make sure everything is free and correct. Left on the rudder, right on the rudder, and good. Everything's good. Okay. Fantastic. Let's also set 122.8. That is the Unicom frequency on VATSIM, since that's what we're flying on. That way we can talk to anybody who's out there and let them know what we're doing. And we'll go parking brake release, taxi light on. And we're going forward. Here we go. Let's go flying. Phoenix traffic, American 556 type MD-82 coming out of the north side gates, taxiing to runway 26 via Charlie 9 Bravo Bravo 13. Phoenix traffic. And ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, this is your captain speaking. I want to welcome you on board American Flight 556 service to Dallas Fort Worth. Total flight time today should be just under 2 hours, about an hour and 54 minutes in flight. We're going to be cruising at 33,000 feet. Weather en route looks good and clear. We should have a fairly healthy tailwind as we are flying east today. And so we'll get you there just as soon as we can. In the meantime, sit back, relax, enjoy the flight. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask one of our very capable flight attendants in the back. We thank you for flying American, and at this time, flight attendants prepare the cabin for departure. So I did notice some traffic as we were coming out of the gates there in the sky. I'm not sure if he's going down toward runway 8 to land or not, so I don't know if that guy's on Unicom. We'll hope for the best. So we'll keep our ears out. Oh, there he is. He's circling the airport. That's interesting. Yeah, he was over there a second ago. Yeah, I don't know what that guy's doing. One of the joys of uncontrolled parts of that thing. You just never know what some of these guys are doing. I don't know if he's commercial or not. He might just be like a GA thing, but I suspect he's not on Unicom. Alright, here's Bravo 13. Alright, looking at the TCAS, I don't see anything. I don't see any traffic out on final. Phoenix traffic, American 556 type MD-80 lining up and taking off runway 26, departure to the south and east. Phoenix traffic. Strobes coming on. We're going to go to System A for engine ignition. Landing lights. Okay. Wasn't seeing the flight plan there, so I want to make sure that was loaded up correctly. Alright, here we go. Bring the engines up to stable. Traffic's right there. We're going to make sure we keep an eye on him because he's kind of now going into our flight path. That's engine stable. Select toga. And takeoff
Takeoff
power
thrust
is
set.
Thank you.
Clamp. 80 knots, cross check. V1. Rotate.
Smooth rotation so we don't strike the tail.
Positive rate.
You're up.
Gear up, lights out.
It's 500 feet. At 1,000 feet, we're gonna...
Traffic.
Yep, there's that guy. Should be behind us. There's 1,000 feet. I'm gonna say VNAV, nav. One more time. And climb mode.
Climb thrust set.
And there's nav track, so I'm gonna follow the flight director now. We've passed 1,600 feet. Go ahead and bring the weather radar on while we're thinking about it here. We'll set flaps up. So just be spoilers, or not spoilers, slats. Wrong S word.
Flap 0.
As we accelerate up through 200 knots there, we'll bring the slats in. Keep on saying spoilers.
Slats retracted.
Alright. Lower that down. That will come off. Trim out the airplane a little bit. Not to put so much pressure on the yoke. Coming close to 8,000 feet, and there's no agency on, so we're going to go ahead and bug that up to 33. Make sure to arm it, so we don't blow through that when we get up there. A lot happens quickly after departure, so the more you can remember what your flight route is, that's why you should always brief it, even if you're not talking to anyone like I was, brief it to yourself, say it out loud. It helps to just remember, hey, where are we going? We turn left, we turn right. Do we have any altitude restrictions? Do we have any speed restrictions? Yeah, the FMC will do it for you most of the time, but if it doesn't, you got to catch that. And if you're staying ahead of the airplane all of the way. Just kind of try to keep that flight director center. We don't want to really chase it, but you don't want it to get too far away from you either. Once we get past 10,000, we'll go ahead and put the autopilot on. Right now, we're just hand flying. There's the airport back there. Haven't seen any more of that traffic that was dodging around, so I'm not sure what he was doing. I think we've left him in the dust. (9,000 feet).
Gentlemen, we have now passed 2,000 feet. You may now turn on your larger portable
Alright, there's 10,000 feet. Let's go ahead and switch on the autopilot. We're going to turn off the landing lights and retract them, as well as the nose light, even though that was off long ago when the gear went up. I can see the outflow valve is moving, so that means that should be working. We're going to double check our pressurization and just make sure that the pressure is building. We do have some cabin differential, so that's good. That means the system is working. AC is on. We don't have any trip-off flags or anything like that. We can now turn the ignition system off after passing 10,000. And on the hydraulics, we'll now turn off the transfer pump, the aux pump, and the two primary pumps can go to low. So these will scale down to 15, which is 1,500 psi. Normally they run 3,000 psi when they're in high. They're going to do their thing. Now south of the airport there, that's Phoenix Airport we just left. Our route of flight takes us down through the southern part of the United States, lower part of Arizona, New Mexico, into Texas, and on into Dallas, kind of from the southwest. Beautiful day for flying today, as it appears. Some nice big fluffy clouds, but nothing too bad. Looks a little ominous, but the weather radar is on, and I'm not seeing anything here, so I should probably bump this out a little bit and make sure if there is something to see it ahead of time. According to the weather report I saw, there wasn't supposed to be any convective activity, so should be okay. It's probably just a big cloud. Alright, we just passed 18,000 feet. We need to set our standard altimeter baro here. So 2992 and 2992. Set, just verify the FO side has it too. It does. Once again, no flags. Everything's looking good. No weather. Then we go down here to the progress page, we can get rid of this, and we can see Fort Worth is 800 miles away. We should have 11,600 pounds of fuel on board when we land. Top of climbs at about 99 miles, and 128 Zulu is our arrival time. And currently we're showing 23:28, so 2 hours. Which is interesting, because we were supposed to be an hour 54, so we're already running behind. But actually, I think I know why that is, because I think I didn't program. Yeah, this is set for, this needs to be 0.70. So that's what I flight planned for. There we go, 123, that's better. That makes a difference. And it means we're going to have 300 less pounds of fuel. So big kick in the wallet there. Alright, it's pretty much smooth sail at this point. We're going to put on the in-flight music for you and do some time acceleration so you guys aren't bored for the entire flight, but allow you to look at the scenery. Obviously, if we have any kind of an issue with an emergency or something, we'll come out of that trance and we'll take you live again. But otherwise, we'll see you live again at the start of the descent, or just beforehand to do the briefing into Dallas-Fort Worth. Alright, so we're just about to our top of descent. If you look down here at the FMC, you can see we're 71 miles from our top descent point. We're 198 miles out from Dallas-Fort Worth, cruising here at 33,000 feet. It's been a very calm, gentle flight. Nothing to report that's out of the ordinary. The passengers have been mingling about the cabin, and service has gone on, and everything's just proceeding as it should. So that's good. But what we need to do is do a quick brief of the arrival. As of right now, we still do not have any air traffic control. We've been on our own this entire time. We're squarely within Dallas-Fort Worth airspace. But let's go ahead and take a look at the route of flight here, and we'll take a look at our STAR, the standard terminal arrival route. So here we are on the map. You can see this is how far we've come. This was the departure out of Phoenix, our route that skirted us right up toward the border of Mexico here, and all the way down, and then right here we actually just entered the STAR, but we haven't reached our descent point yet. This is the BOOV 4. And so if we go to, actually I'm going to switch over to the Dallas charts, and if we look for the BOOV 4, we can select that there. And we've passed Geeky. We're actually currently en route to Snuggle, and our first descent point is at Gibbalt, which is 290 speed restriction and between flight level 240 and 300. Following that, Darb at 290 between 23 and 20. BOOV at 280 between 190 and 17,000. Shimp 280 between 17 and 15. Curl 270 between 15 and 13. Mo 250 between 13 and 11. Delmo 11,000 feet, 220 knots. That is the last altitude requirement on this procedure. So that is the bottom of the STAR. So since we do not have air traffic control to tell us to send via the BOOV 4, we're going to do that ourselves. We're going to set 11,000, and we'll let the navigation, the VNAV, mitigate our speed and altitudes to comply with these points. What we're going to do, though, is real quick confirm those points. So I'm going to take the tablet away for a moment so I can still see it on my other screen, but you can see what I'm doing. And before we do anything else, because we are getting close, we're now 50 miles from top of descent. We don't want to pass through that. So we're going to set this down to 11,000 feet and arm it. And verify we're on VNAV right now, VNAV level. So that should engage the descent as we pass that descent point, and we'll stop at 11,000 feet. We'll manually bring ourselves down lower than that, but we don't want to authorize ourselves lower than that at this time. So we're going to go down here to the FMC. We're going to look at the legs page, and we're just going to go through here and confirm that this all matches up. So 290, 240, and 300, that's correct. Darb 290, 200, and 230, that's correct. BOOV 280 at between 190 and 17, that's correct. Shimp, we got 280 between 15 and 17, that's correct. Curl 270, 15 and 13, that's correct. Mo, we've got 13 and 11 at 250. 13, 11, 250. Delmo, we do not have a, I'm sorry, Delmo is hard restriction, so 220 at 11, and then nothing below that. So we have estimates here based on what the FMC would like to do, but you notice they're in lowercase. That's because they're what the FMC is estimating we'll do. And then after beyond, we have to vector ourselves over to Bossy, where we have to be 6,000 or above. So after 11,000, we can go down as low as 6,000, but until we pass Bossy, we can't go any lower than that. So all those points are good. The other thing we're going to check here on the tablet is the approach for 17 center, which we're going to go ahead and authorize ourselves to do since there's no air traffic control. So here is Bossy. This is the transition point onto the approach. We have localizer frequency of 110.3 and 176 degrees on the course. We'll set that onto the airplane here in just a moment. The missed approach is the climb on heading 176 to cross the Yupru, 2.8 DME from the ILS IFLQ which should be what this is. Yep, IFLQ. Radar at or below 3,000. Then climbing right, turn to 4,000 outbound on the TTT VOR 176 degree radial to JASPA, which is 35 DME from the TTT VOR and hold. So it's a lot of a lot of words to basically do this. If you can see here, this line here, we come out, we hit UPRU 2.8 DME, and then we turn to intercept the 176 of Maverick, which is the TTT VOR there. Fly outbound on 176 to 35 DME, which is JASPA, and that's where we would start a hold. Now, for us today, once we were out on this outbound, we would just vector ourselves back around because we would be holding for ATC. There is no ATC to tell us what to do, so we're not going to worry about that. But that's our missed approach procedure if we have to do that. Take a note that the minimum safe altitude on the approach side of the field is 2,700 feet. We don't want to go below that until we're established. And on the outside, the outbound side, the missed approach side, is 3,600 feet. And you notice the missed approach takes it up to 4,000, which should go just beyond that. So it's below 3,000 to UPRU, and then up to 4,000 after we pass it. This will show us the approach descent point. So at Bossy, 6,000 is where we want to plan to be. Stepping down to Penny, 5,000. Zinging at 3,000, and then the final approach fix at Jiffy at 2,300 feet. And then it's a 3-degree glide slope down to the runway, all the way down there. Our minimums today, we're just going to be doing a cat with the weather's nice, so there's no reason to do anything beyond a Cat 1 ILS. And so our minimums are 762 on the baro, 200 on the radio altimeter, and visibility is not an issue. We're going to get an ATIS report right now, but it should be 10-mile viz or better. We don't expect anything less than that. So everything looks good. There's some notes here. The DME and radar required, simultaneous approach authorized, and the VGSI and ILS glide path not coincident. So we don't want to be fooled. If we start going visual, we'll follow the PAPIs and ignore the ILS, or the other way around. We're not gonna try and match the two up. They're not gonna match. So that's just something we need to be aware of. Everything else is pretty straightforward on the taxi out. If you look here, we've got 17 center is this guy. We got 13,400 feet of runway, lots of runway to deal with. And our gate today is 31, Charlie 31, which is like right here. So once we land, depending on how fast we stop, Mike 3, Mike 4 would be ideal. So we can, if it's Mike 3, we'll taxi, what is this, Mike down to Echo Lima and take that across. If it's Mike 4, that'll end us at Echo Lima, we'll taxi across. Worst case scenario, we take Mike 6 to Echo Mike, we'll taxi across and come kilo up. So that is the plan. And there we go, the ascent has just begun. You can hear the aircraft starting to go down. You see that going down. So we've confirmed top of descent. We'll leave the seatbelt sign off until we're at transition altitude. We'll turn it on at that point. So passengers can start packing up their stuff at that time. At the top of descent here, I should have done this actually earlier, but we need to do this now at the very least. We need to reset the landing field altitude to match, which is 606. So we're going to send this down to right about there. And let's go ahead and get our ATIS real quick. So we'll do that over here on the ACARS. Requests, ATIS. We want the arrival ATIS this time for KDFW. Hit send. Oops. And here it comes. Arrival ATIS, and as we expected, landing south flow, 17s and 18s. Transition altitude 18,000 feet. We're in America. Wind is 180 at 15 knots, gusting 18. So This is nice. It's gusting, but the wind is going to be mostly right down the runway, because I think runway heading is 176, if I'm not mistaken. So, yes, it is. So that'll be practically right down the runway. So it'll just be increasing our speeds a little bit. The rule of thumb with this is you take half the speed and all of the gust and add that to your VREF speed. So when we get our VREF speeds in a second, we'll add the calculation up and we'll make accommodation for those winds. You do that so in the case of a headwind, if that wind was to drop off, you don't want to suddenly find yourself 15 knots below VREF. Better to be fast and compensating than to be slow and suddenly fall out of the sky. That would be bad. So it's half the steady winds and then plus all of the gusts different. So it wouldn't be in this case 7.5 knots plus 18. It would actually be 7.5 knots plus 3 because it's 3 knots gusting beyond what the steady winds are. So that'll be about 10 knots, 10, 11. We'll call it 11 knots since we'll round up. So 11 knots plus VREF. There's 2 pages here. It's 10-mile visibility, few clouds, 30,000 feet. Next page, temperature 18, 2.6, and altimeter is 29090. So very close to standard, but let's go up here and set the local barometer to 29090 right there. That's set up for us now as we continue on the descent. We're going to do this. We got lots of runway. We don't have a wet runway, so we're going to plan for an auto brake MINS setup. So we've got that selected there. Let's go ahead and look at our landing weights and speeds. So we do that by clicking here. We get the landing data card, and we're going to look at our progress page. And it wants us to, it's wanting us to add some drags. Let's do that real quick. I'll take a moment here and help the airplane descend with the spoiler. Just watching as the speed gets closer. Really shouldn't have needed it because we're above profile, so it actually should just leveled us off. But it is whatever. All right, so looking at the progress page, we look at here and again checking what our fuel calculation is supposed to be on landing. We're looking at 11.5. Currently we're at 12.1, so we're basically going to burn 600 pounds of fuel more is the estimate between now and then. So if we come and look at our initial ref page, right now our gross weight is 127.5, and so if we burn off 600, that can put us to 126.9. So that's 127 essentially. So we're going to assume 127 for our landing data weight, and here we can look up at our various speeds here for VTH, which is not VRA, it's close, it's similar to that, but basically it's calculated for us here as well. So 138 knots for 28 flaps, 40 flaps, which what we're going to use today is 129, and we're going to add 11 knots to that, so that's going to be 140. So 140 is our magic number for VREF because of the winds coming in at Dallas. So we can go over here and set our bugs. And look at that, it's put the bug right there, right about 140, so it's probably factored that in for us. You can move these if you want to separately, but it is what it is. So we're getting close to transition altitude, but we'll turn the seatbelt sign on in a moment here. We can look at our map, and it's wanting some drag again, so let's go ahead and oblige the aircraft. I'm going to zoom the map in a little bit. We're going to make our turn here at Boov. Reaches, we'll take the drag back out. We're going to go ahead and set up our frequencies here. 110.3, which is the ILS frequency, and 176. 176. And I'm going to set the other side to be the same thing, just to redundancy. 110.3 and 176. Verify that on the chart one more time. Yes, that is correct. All right. So the important things to know here, there's transition altitude. So let's go ahead and bug that down to 290. bug this down to 290. That's set. I'm going to turn the seatbelt sign on at this time. So remember, the numbers we want to remember are 4,000. That's the go-around altitude once we're established, and then 140 is our VREF, which we've got bug set right there. Because we don't have air traffic control, once we get down to that 11,000, once we reach the vectors point, then we'll basically use the ND to kind of do our best guess judgment to get us down to Bossy at 6,000. That'll set us up the best, so we're not trying to nose bomber in. This aircraft, we cannot arm the auto brake until we are flaps 28. So while we're at min set, we're not until the flaps go to 28 can we arm that. Is looking good. It's just the ACARS printer alert light. We don't need to worry about that right now. Always want to double check you've got the right mode, the right altitude bug there. That's 110, and it's looking for drag again, so we'll go ahead and give it a hand. This this particular approach has a lot of steps, and so it kind of taxes the Mad Dog's ability to keep speed naturally. So you find yourself using the lever of shame a little bit to hold on profile there. Absolutely beautiful sunset evening coming here into Dallas tonight. Look at that sun going down. Absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. There's some 14,500. Go ahead and go back to the legs page at this point. So we're basically on our way to Delmo at the moment. Oh, sorry, Mo. Forget this one is off again with the drag. This plane is never satisfied. Situations like this is really helpful to have the Bravo throttle quadrant with the spoiler handle built in, because you can keep your hand on it so you know the spoilers are engaged. And that's a good real-world trick to keep a hand on the spoiler when it's down, so you don't leave it in that position and forget that your spoiler is, or spoilers are up. The handle's down, the spoilers themselves are up. And you don't want to land with them up. You'll be falling out of the sky and you won't know why. It's not good. It's not good at all. There's the airport right there, Dallas Fort Worth. So we're gonna come just a little bit closer, and then we'll enter a downwind, come around for a base, and eventually the final. As the airport loads in, as we enter the downwind, we'll call Fort Worth traffic to let them know where we are, what our altitude is, what our intentions are. That way, if there's anybody here, we can start to coordinate and make sure we don't land on top of each other. Last time I came into Dallas like this, it was great. There was actually a few people here, and we actually did a really good job of coordinating with each other to make sure we all landed okay and safely, and no one had to go around. So when everyone abides by those rules and kind of listens to Unicom and listens to each other, it ends up working out quite well. Now, interestingly enough, it does not want us to use drag now. This airplane will not want to go, we'll have an alpha speed protection around 230 knots or so. So once I see this say alpha speed, that's my cue. I may do it beforehand, but that's my cue to put the slats out. The slats will override that, and it will allow the speed to drop below. Otherwise, the alpha speed's a protection to not go below that intentionally without some kind of flaps or slats on the wing. So we're turning downwind now, so we're going to go ahead and call for the traffic here. Fort Worth traffic, American 556 type MD-82 is on a right downwind for runway 17 center at 11,000 feet abeam the airport. Fort Worth traffic. So we've got a, we've already passed our last point, so we can start to go down any time now. And so I'm going to go ahead and bug this down to 6 and select it. And we're going to go ahead and say VNAV. And VNAV percent, because we still have a profile, so we're going to let the profile do its thing. That'll kind of bring us down gently. We're passing 10,000 feet, so part of that procedure is we need to put the hydraulic pumps back to high. We're going to turn the aux pump on and the trans pump on, and that's really in case we lose an engine or a hydraulic pump, independent of the engine. Not only will we have a transfer of hydraulic function to both systems, but we'll have a backup pump ready to go and on, so we won't suddenly just lose hydraulics and be in a bad way, because that would be bad. And as we come down below 10,000 feet, we're going to go ahead and drop the landing lights. And as we pass 10,000, landing lights will come on. And then my own procedure, I'm going to go ahead and put the nose lights dim. It's not going to be on anyway. The nose gear is up, but it will go to dim when they deploy. But then that way it's only one notch away from bright, which I usually will put on when I'm given clearance to land. Today I'll just do it once we're fully established, because we're not going to get clearance to land because there's no one to give it to. So you can see here that we have this this takeoff at Bossy, but our line continues. That's because this is technically vectors after this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait till we're at least abeam Bossy, and if our altitude's looking good, which it looks like it will be, then we'll go ahead and close the and make it a direct, basically, and we'll fly the aircraft to Bossy. Bossy is roughly 16, 17 nautical miles from the threshold of the runway. And I'm going to go ahead and do speed override here, and we're going to override it down to 200. And we're going to put a notch of slats down.
Slats extended.
Some drag. Getting some fun windage going on here. Not sure what this aircraft is doing. It's like pitching us up all of a sudden. Dramatic weather shift all of a sudden. It's definitely interesting. Get this split back. Let's try to get us back on the profile. That's why it's diving down a little bit. we're going to be good on everything, so we're just going to go ahead and select direct to Bossy. Execute that. And then we're also going to arm the ILS. So that'll bring in the localizer and the glide slope at the right time as we turn to intercept here. It is definitely windy here in Dallas today. So good thing we have the seatbelt sign on, passengers in their seats. I don't think we're going to need the spoiler anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and arm it at this time. I'm going to set this down to 5,000 and arm it. VNAV descent. And the reason I'm doing that is so we don't accidentally pass the Bossy point where profile thinks we should already be going down further. Because what I don't want to do is get high above the glide all of a sudden and then have to try and dive down to capture it. So I'm just going to kind of ignore these the messages coming in for the speed. It's because the wind is kicking around and we're getting these kind of interesting bursts. So while we're turning, that's going to happen. That's okay. It is quite bumpy. Alright, so there's the airport. We're coming around. This is the 18 side. 17s are over here. So now it's doing the opposite. Now we're getting slow as we... Autopilot's struggling to do this. Alright, so we have lope cap and glide slope capture, so that's good. We've got them both. It's going to try its best to bring us back in. It's kind of overshot here. That's 17 right, 17 center's right next to it, 17 left is way over here. We don't want to land there. It's out in the boondocks. Screws up on the alignment this time, then we're just going to take full control. That's fine.
Stabilizer motion.
Yeah, so it's passing through the glide slope, the localizer again. Doing the best of jobs here. Forward traffic, American 556 type MD-82 is on a 12-mile final runway 17 center forward traffic. Here we go, flaps 15.
Flaps 15.
Getting there. It's working on it. I'm going to select this down to 180. And flight attendants, take your seats for landing at this time. jumpy frames as the airport stuff loads in slowly but surely. FS Dream Team stuff looks pretty good, but they're not very frame friendly. Not nearly like Flight Beam is, which is unfortunate. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and set 140, which is our VREF plus 11. And I can also set 4,000 since we're captured on the glide slope. That is 130. What the heck? 140. Alright, we're going to go gear down and flaps 28.
Gear down, 3 green.
And that says we passed the final approach
Flaps
fix.
28.
We can now arm the auto brake. We're going to go clear to land and flaps 40. Notice we are right in the glide
Flaps
slope,
40.
but we're showing high on the pappies. That's what they're talking about. It's not coincident.
Stabilizer motion.
We'll let it kind of settle out with its speeds here, and then we're going to take control here in a second. It's my aircraft.
$1,000.
1,000 to go, stable. Don't do that to me. $500. $400. $300. Just kicking my butt.
200. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
2 in reverse.
Alright, we're down, nose forward.
Reverse lights out.
Reverse, and we'll go
60
manual
knots.
brakes. And it looks like we can make Mike 3 right here. I think that's what this is. Yep. Mike 3. Welcome to Dallas.
Texas. The local time is 8:12 p.m.
Landing
It's
lights
currently
coming
about
off.
64 degrees Fahrenheit. You can now use your mobile device. Please remain seated until the aircraft has come to a complete stop.
Turn the weather radar off.
Remember to use caution when opening the overhead bins, as items may have been shifted during the flight. If this is your final destination, thank you for flying with us. If you're making a
Alright, so we're going to
connection,
take Mike down here to Echo Lima. Fort Worth traffic, American 556 is clear of runway 17 center. Taxiing to the Charlie gates, we'll call crossing runway 17 right. Alright, while we're on this little straightaway, we're going to go up here and APU master switch. And hold that, wait for rotation and exhaust. This is Echo Lima coming up right here. There's 10%. There we go. Go that. Flight directors can go off. And we're going to Charlie 31. Charlie Terminal. American 556 crossing runway 17 right. You don't need to follow me, we can go straight in. Those up. Strobe can come off now if we cross 17 right. We'll turn off the trans and aux pump. We don't need them anymore. We also can turn off the auto brake. And we'll open up the pneumatic cross bleed so that way air from the APU when we switch over is ready to go. APUs are running. Just ignore the caution light there. Ladies and gentlemen from the flight deck, for final time, your captain speaking. I want to officially welcome you to Dallas. Please remain in your seat until we've arrived at the gate and stopped the aircraft completely. I want to thank you for flying American today. We hope you'll choose us for all of your future travel needs. And it was a pleasure to serve you today. We look forward to serving you on a future flight. Enjoy your time here in Dallas. That off. There is our gate there. We'll turn off the taxi light so we don't blind the people. This is a safe dock, so we don't have a marshaller. We actually have this little guy here, which is kind of cool. Saying stop array, which is a lie because the line isn't up till about there. Yeah, it's saying far, but it's not. So it just GSX isn't very well calibrated. That's fine. All right, so we're gonna stop there. Parking brake set. Let's go ahead and put the dome light on right there. We're gonna go over and put the APU on bus. We're gonna put the air in there so we can get that, and those are open, and we will shut down. Call for the jetway. That's coming over. With the engine shut down, we can turn off the beacon. Pitot heats can go off. We'll undo the that. We'll leave one fuel pump on for the APU. That can stay on. We'll unlock the cockpit door. it's going to do this for us. Nope, request abort. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Alright, cargo guys are going to come over. Let's turn this to off. We don't need squawking anything anymore. That's fine there. That's all good. We'll put the interphone on for ground ops. Flight directors are off. Strobes are off. Landing lights are all off. Final fuel on board was 10.8. And if we go back and look at our flight plan, I think we saved some money. I'll put my flight plan away. Show me that. Yeah, I want to see the details. The archived oath. Let's see. Our trip fuel was 13,700 out of a total of 24,605. So what did we do there? So we burned 13,805. Trip fuel was 13,700. We burned exactly 105 pounds more than was estimated to burn for the trip. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's actually really impressive. Yeah, I call that a good day. All right, that's it. The passengers are deboarding. We're going to shut down. This is going to be the last flight of the day for this bird. So we're going to take them all the way down to cold and dark. We'll shut the APU down, and once they get the ground power connected, they've got it connected already. We'll go ahead and put that on bus for when we disconnect the APU. Like I said, I stream on Twitch on right now Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Wednesday and Friday nights and Saturday mornings. All times are Pacific time, so that's the time zone I'm in, so you have an idea when that'll be. Check out my Twitch channel for the specifics. Check out my Discord. I'll put a link to that in the description below as well. There's a weekly schedule on there that shows exactly what times I'm streaming and what days, so you can keep up to date. Obviously, YouTube, this video will be around for a long time, so that schedule is subject to change from the time of this posting. But twitch.tv/Mustafa, and I know I'm the Flying Moose on here. I'm Mustafa on Twitch, same person, same guy. We do this all the time. A lot of interaction, a lot of fun, and a lot of joking around. And you might learn something. We fly different aircraft too. It's not always the MD-82. So especially on Wednesdays, we do Slant Whiskey Wednesday a lot of times, and that is the old school 727s and 737-200 type stuff. So a lot of fun. Encourage you to come check that out. If you did like the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It helps grow the channel. Put your comment below. If you have questions, comment below. I try to respond to all the questions as of right now. My channel's not large enough where I'm forced to ignore them, so take advantage of that. And if you want to see more stuff like this on YouTube, let me know. I'll keep making them, but if you guys don't respond, then I may just stop it. So I'm going to try to get into a regular habit of doing this for you guys. So if I can make them quick and easy like this, then that's the goal. All right, thanks for hanging with me. We'll see you next time, and I hope to see you over on Twitch for one of the live streams. Take care.